Alright, I'm going to show you guys how to loft bombs using the CCRP bombing mode. And the reason you would want to do something like this is so that you can launch your regular unguided bombs like your CBUs and your Mark 84s and Mark 82s and stuff like that, so that you can loft them in there from I don't know, 5 miles out, 4 miles out, something like that. It keeps you from having to fly directly over your target, which saves you, from having to fly directly over your target and get shot at by whatever's down there. In this case, I'm going to be bombing some artillery units that are packed together at one of the hardened artillery sites on the Korean border. If you guys have flown Korea, you've probably seen them down there. They're lots of fun to blow up because they're all packed in together there. But this is just a little TE that I made, and I assigned 2 AAA battalions to defend that particular area. So while I could fly right over the target, and I'd probably still be somewhat safe flying over the target, there's going to be quite a fair amount of small arms fire down there, and while it's usually kind of inaccurate, it does get you sometimes. And there's definitely more dangerous targets than this one out there. But it's just a good demonstration for showing you guys how to loft, and that's why I'm going to do it. And first I'm gonna set up my bombs here. Let's see. I could probably leave the arming delay to 4 seconds, but I'm gonna make it 1 second just to be cool. And the burst altitude, I'm gonna make it 2,000 feet. It should give me a nice big footprint, cover a lot of real estate. The spacing here, I always set it to 0 unless I'm actually gonna ripple something off, but I'm only dropping a single CBU 87, so I just want it to be 0, just so I don't have to worry about it. And one of the most important things for lofting is your release angle. If you leave the release angle at the default of 23 degrees, you'll get the loft cue a lot later than you would if you set it to like 45 or something like that. And since the whole point of lofting is to get your bomb off the rail as soon as possible at the largest possible distance from the target, 23 degrees just doesn't give you much of a distance. You might as well just fly over it. So I'm going to set it to 35 so that I get the loft cue sort of early. And that's all it really changes all it changes is how early you get the loft cue. It doesn't change the way it calculates the when to release or nothing like that. Alright, I'm getting pretty close to my little IP here. One of the most important things to keep in mind when you're lofting, which is something I had a lot of trouble with when I first started with it, I couldn't figure out what the problem was, is that you have to be moving fast in order to actually make it to your release point before it starts going in the upwards direction away from your flight path marker. So before you start to pull up, I like to be going around 600 knots or so. And once you do start pulling up, you got to kick the afterburner in. That way you don't lose a lot of speed and, like I said, miss your release point. So we're almost to my IP here. Got my master arm on. I think I'm ready to go. And when you loft stuff, you normally do it from a low altitude, because if it's safe to hit your target from a high altitude, then there's not much sense in lofting to begin with. So I'm going to make my ingress nice and low here. There goes the IP. Switching to the target steer point here. There's my fall line. But I don't have a target locked up yet, so that's not going to do me any good. And there's a hill in the way, so I'm going to gain some altitude until I can see targets on my ground radar here. There's some targets. There's a whole bunch of them. I'm going to lock up right in the middle of that group. I'm going to duck down low again here. See, I'm only going 500 knots, so I'm going to go ahead and hit the burner right now to get as much speed as I can. Okay, 5 seconds till we get the loft cue. There it is. I'm going to make a gentle pull up and try as hard as you can to keep that flight path marker right in the middle of that bomb fall line. And I'm just about to meet the release cue here. There it goes. And I'm turning away from the target and dropping altitude again. And I'm getting shot at by the AAA, but that stuff's pretty inaccurate, and I'm just about to be out of its range again. And alright, I'm gonna level off here, I'm gonna watch my bomb. There we go. I'd say that smoked them pretty good. And I only got shot at for a couple of seconds, so that's what it's all about. You guys have fun.